You've been very vocal about marijuana and alcohol. And I think a lot of, I'll just say from the blue zones, people in blue zones, making it to 100 in the Mediterranean blue zones, they drink a glass or two of red wine every day of their life. About almost 90% of people making it to a 90, 100 drink. But your stance is no amount of alcohol is safe, at least for your brain.
Well, the American Cancer Society came out 4 years ago against any alcohol because any alcohol is associated with an increased risk of 7, now 8 different cancers. As a psychiatrist, there is not a week that goes by where alcohol hasn't messed up someone's life. And alcohol prematurely ages the brain. Now, if you're doing everything else right, a glass or two may not have a big negative impact for you. But I'm not a fan of drinking something that is a disinfectant, right? I mean, my wife is a nurse, and why does she put alcohol on your skin before she gives you a shot? It's because it kills a lot of bugs. Well, how many bugs do you have in your microbiome? 100 trillion.
Yeah.
And so I'm like just not a fan of doing anything that alters your mind. And people go, but it relaxes me. I'm like, diaphragmatic breathing will relax you and it doesn't have any side effects. I did, in our program and in my work, we use lots of tiny habits. What's the smallest thing I can do today that will make the biggest difference? And I worked with a professor at Stanford on tiny habits. And I met him at a conference a couple of years later, and he said, I have to thank you. I'm like, cool, why? He said, I wake up 100% every day. I'm like, that's awesome. Why? He said, I stopped drinking.
Wow.
And marijuana, we've been lied to. Marijuana is innocuous. Marijuana is legal, I guess, in 35 states.
How about innocent little gummies with THC?
Yeah, it works on your brain to relax you, and then it rebounds where you're not relaxed. And the problem is, and it's the same problem we talk about with psilocybin or magic mushrooms, it's when the population thinks it's innocuous, use goes dramatically up. And teenagers who use, we're in the biggest mental health epidemic for young people ever in recorded history. And they just believe marijuana is innocuous. But if you use marijuana as a teenager or a young adult, you have an increased risk of anxiety, depression, suicide, and psychosis.
Can you unpack the mechanisms behind that a little bit as a psychiatrist?
Well, I published a study on 1,000 marijuana users. Every area of their brain is lower in blood flow. And recently, this year, in JAMA Psychiatry, there's another group, not mine, published another study on 1,000 marijuana users. The areas of learning and executive function were significantly low in activity. And then they compared smokers, nicotine, with marijuana smokers. The lungs were more damaged with marijuana.
Interesting.
So from my standpoint, it's decreasing blood flow, but also decreases myelinization of the brain. And what's happening when you're 13 to 26 is your brain is undergoing wild myelinization. So your nerves get wrapped with a white fatty substance called myelin. And it starts when you're a baby, like just a month or two old, where your occipital lobes in the back, they get myelinated. Because when you smile at a brand newborn, they don't smile back because they don't really see you. But at 2 months, you smile at them, they smile at you, bonding goes because their visual cortex has been myelinated. Well, then there's a slow march forward from the back to the front, and the front part of your brain does not get fully myelinated until you're in your mid-20s. So you're really not an adult where your brain is finished until you're about 25. So it's why you shouldn't let children hit soccer balls with their foreheads, right?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not a fan of tackle football, even though I played and loved it. It didn't love me back.
Huh.
And why would you throw poison into your brain when it's undergoing such wild development? And I think most people just don't understand that.
So, the human species have been using different mind-altering substances forever. It's almost like we've evolved for that. And the reality is, let's just say a middle-aged person whose brain is developed, they're going to do something. The reality is, the best is that they wouldn't do anything, no intoxicants. But if they're going to take a gummy, which is legal in many states, or smoke a joint, which is legal in many states, or drink some wine or beer, which is legal everywhere for an adult, which one would you rather see them do? I know it's going to be hard for you as a doctor, but
we post on this. Marijuana or alcohol, which one's worse?
It's such a good question.
Well,
let's frame it the other way.
There
which one's
is
better?
More domestic violence with alcohol, for sure. Its disinhibiting effects causes more trouble in relationships. Yet, I just did a podcast here with Julius Randle last week. Julius Randle's the superstar power forward for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And he came to see me because his wife was very concerned about his marijuana use. You can play in the NBA and smoke that day, that they don't test for it anymore. And it changed his personality in a negative way. And when he stopped, he became more of who he really was. Now, I think for everybody, okay, yes, people are going to use intoxicants, but it's because we haven't taught them how to manage their minds, haven't taught them how to use simple rituals to calm themselves. And I'd be interested, as you've gone to the blue zones, because I know when you went to Loma Linda, they weren't doing that stuff.
That's right.
And they were happy.
So if you like that clip, there's a lot more where that came from. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so you won't miss our new videos as they come out each week.